Hi! In this lesson, I'm going to teach you about something similar to a function called a method. I'm also going to show you how methods can be applied to strings. In a previous module, you learned how to make and use functions. You also learned how to make functions that take parameters and to then call those functions with arguments. Finally, you learned how to make and use functions that have return values. Calls to these functions are ultimately replaced by their return value. Okay, now let's look at an example of this thing called a method. In this example, we see the piece of code that says firstString.upper. Upper is a method, and in this program we are calling it. The method call looks something like a function call. It's got a name and some parentheses. The weird thing about it is the fact that it's preceded by a variable and a dot. This is a characteristic of method calls. Can you guess what this program does? Okay, let's run it. When we do, we see the original string hello in all uppercase letters. Notice that if we print the original string, it hasn't changed. It is only second string that has the capital letters. You can think of the method call in the second line like a call to a function that has a return value. What makes a method is the fact that you call it on a thing. In this case, the thing is a variable. A method call always takes the form something.methodName. You can think of the thing to the left of the dot as a secret argument. Methods are related to object-oriented programming, something you'll learn more about in a later module. In this example, the upper method is able to create a new string that is identical to first string, except with all capital letters. Upper is a method that you can call on any string. If we change the value of first string, the upper method still works as expected. We can even call the method on a string literal, like this. In this example, no variable holds the lowercase version of eggplant. All we have is a variable that holds the return value of upper, which in this case is the uppercase version of eggplant. Let's take a look at some other methods you can call on strings. As one would guess, in addition to the upper method, there is also a lower method, which returns a lowercase version of the string it's called on. The isUpper method returns true if a string is all uppercase letters and false otherwise. So in this case, firstString.isUpper returns true because first string consists of all uppercase letters. And then there's the isLower method, which returns true if a string is all lowercase letters and false otherwise. So in this case, firstString.isLower returns false. Next, you have the swap case method, which just returns a string in which each letter is the opposite case as the corresponding letter in the original string. Then, there's the strip method, which returns a copy of the string you call it on without any white space at the beginning or end. The last method I'll show you in this lesson is different from the other ones in that it doesn't return a string. The method is called find, and it can be used to find an instance of one string inside another string. Here's how it works. When you call the find method, you call it on a string, and you also pass it a string as an argument. It looks in the string you call it on for the first instance of the argument string. In this example, it'll look in my string for the first instance of plant. It returns the index at which the argument string starts. Here, plant starts at index 3 in eggplant, so the find method returns 3. If the argument string is not found, the method returns -1. Note that even though -1 is technically a valid index, it's the index of the last character in a string, it is still used as the value that represents the case where the argument string wasn't found. If the argument string was found, the return value will be 0 or greater. So beware of using the index returned by find. You shouldn't expect it to necessarily be usable as an index. In this program, while you might expect this to print a character that is the same as the first character in the argument string, it doesn't because -1 isn't meant to be used as an index. That is to say, if you go to index -1 in eggplant, you won't find the beginning of an instance of animal.